Shalom, shalom. It's the brother Kadar Bun, GMS, Mississippi Gulf Coast. I'd like to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh in His only begotten Son's name, Yahweh Shai. Double honors are given unto the apostle elders of Great Millstone, men who have labored and suffered in this truth for over 30 plus years, making their lives and their bodies a living sacrifice. I'd like to send a shalom to the hopeful elect, 1/3 of the nation of Israel, the speckled birds scattered throughout the four winds, planet Earth, north, south, east, and west. I also like to send a shalom to the various GMS camps, heads of camps, and elders. I also like to send a shalom to any of you Akim, not named GMS, but walk in one body, one spirit in Yahweh Shai, with the 100% truth as taught to us all by the apostle elders of Great Millstone, with all truth and sincerity. To you all, shalom. Shalom. DW News. Just a quick, first and foremost, Lord willing, this be edifying. I'm going to let this clip play. It's by DW News, an alternative news platform. I don't know it to be a mainstream news platform, but yet and still it may be. But having said that, this is public information. This is not private information. This is, nevertheless, it is information, and I will be using the information just to educate, Lord willing. No profit gain. I'm not making any earnings, monetizing, none of the above. And through the Fair Use Act, I'll be using this clip just to edify. Now, having said that, as you see right here, it says Ukraine crisis. Putin says Russia does not want war. And when it all boils down, it's not about what Putin wants, it's about what the Most High Yahweh, Heavenly Father, wants. But let's move on past that. The talks have been lately is that Russia is this and Russia is escalating this and making football moves toward the south, toward the north of Ukraine, toward and along the eastern border of Ukraine, and the word coming out of D.C. and NATO is that Russia is about to bulldoze their way into Ukraine. It's imminent. They have all but said blow the horns, sound the trumpets. As far as the West, the United States and NATO is concerned. But there's news clips on mainstream news media outlets like ABC News, CNN, RT, MSNBC, that state that puts that in a contradictory, that really contradicts what NATO and or rather what the U.S. is saying. Because you even had in one clip you had the Ukrainian president saying that a lot of the fears are being stoked up by the West, otherwise known as Washington D.C. and NATO. French president says that Russia and China is not their number one enemy. It's terrorism, and here you have the Germans speaking with Putin, as you'll see here. And they're trying to come to some type of agreement, or rather, some type of moratorium to stave off war, which is inevitable. It's inevitable because it's prophecy. But the point and the fact of the matter is that these points that are being made are contradictory to what's coming out of Washington, D.C., the Biden and Harris administration. Anyway, let's let this play, and Lord willing, we're going to wrap a few precepts and close out. Shouldn't be too long.
unable to say that the threat of war in eastern Ukraine has passed. Earlier today, Russia announced that it was pulling back some of its forces near the Ukrainian border and sending them back to their barracks. At first, it seemed to be a tentative sign of de-escalation, coming exactly when U.S. and European intelligence have been warning that Russia is now ready to launch a military strike on Ukraine. Let's pull in the map here. It tells a story of anything but de-escalation. Over the past few months.
Okay, well, the propaganda is now that since the U.S. and his allies have been screaming that war is imminent between Russia and Ukraine, that Russia's going to bomb Russia at any time now. Russia said Russia is drawing back his military forces. But as you can tell, this is a protagonist for the West. They're going to give credit to Russia and at the same time take credit from Russia. So, you can tell by the sentiment, by how he's approaching this, who he comes in the name of. And it seems that he speaks for the West. Start it back over.
We begin the day unable to say that the threat of war in eastern Ukraine has passed. Earlier today, Russia...
We begin the day not able to say that the threat of war in eastern Ukraine has passed. But just yesterday, we were saying that Russia's finna rush the northern and eastern and the southern border of Ukraine at any moment now. But we have to bite our words just a little bit. But let us explain. Let us explain. It's not as it seems, even though Russia seems to be tentatively backing down. Let us explain, and you'll see that it's not all what it seems to be. And this is the slick enchantment talk of the West. It's lucky for me to jump in there, but we have to lay down the facts. We have to lay it down in a layman's term, because these slick-ass journalists and whatnot, they'll word things in such a way, to the mainstream audience that let's just say that they can brainwash their audiences. We're not going to allow that to happen. It's lucky. I'm going to try to limit my jumping in and out and let the video play.
We begin the day unable to say that the threat of war in eastern Ukraine has passed. Earlier today, Russia announced that it was pulling back some of its forces near the Ukrainian border and sending them back to their barracks. At first, it seemed to be a tentative sign of de-escalation, coming exactly when U.S. and European intelligence have been warning that Russia is now ready to launch a military strike on Ukraine. Let's pull in the map here. It tells a story of anything but de-escalation. Over the past few months, the Russian military has positioned more than 100,000 troops, you see right there, along the eastern and the southern border with Ukraine. Ukraine's northern border with Belarus, you see right there, it has now about 30,000 Russian troops in position. The Pentagon says eastern Ukraine is almost surrounded and is the obvious target for an overwhelming military invasion. The head of NATO today warned that shuffling around troops while leaving weapons in place is not a sign of de-escalation.
The Shake Shack Buffalo Chicken Sandwich. It's everything you love about wings meets everything you love about Shake Shack.
There are signs from Moscow that diplomacy should continue.
There are signs from Moscow that diplomacy should continue. But the news we have been getting out of MSNBC, NBC, Fox, all the major news outlets in the U.S. is that diplomacy had failed. That you had the correspondence coming out. Just as soon as the doors closed and the heads of states and the spokesmen for different high-ranking agencies, as soon as they got to speaking, the correspondents of these different mainstream news outlets coming out, diplomacy has failed, and Russia, like they out of breath, like they had to run out there and tell you, But here it is, day to day, as we roll day and day into this, diplomacy seems as though it may be still on the table. A far cry from what the U.S. was saying. It kind of mimics what Germany and France and even Ukraine, who's in the center of this, kind of mimics what they've been saying, which kind of favors what Russia and them saying. But this is how the West, NATO and its allies, the United States, how they try to clean up a lie. Yeah, it just seemed like that. It's just it's a card trick that Putin them doing. It's nothing real, but it's nothing real to it. They still got 130,000 troops, 30 up north and 100 on the east, and it's just a slight move of the hand. It don't fall for the trick. And prophecy tells you that World War III won't kick off until all hell has already been kicked off. There'll be anarchy in the streets. There'll be neighbors invading neighbors. Houses being ravished. The madmen coming through your house. Pursuant to 2 Ezra 16. The verses there. There'll be sedition amongst the people. They won't be paying no attention to the they won't be giving too much credit to the governments. They'll be taking matters into their own hands and whatnot. We have not just yet reached that fever pitch. They're still able to push out mandates and close down whole societies and whatnot, whole countries and whatnot. So no matter how much the Biden administration speaks of, beat the drums of war, war, war. Yahweh Shai said you will hear these things, Matthew 24. You will hear these things, but yet the end has not come. That'll just be the beginning. This so-called white man, Esau Edom, he ain't going to be able to push prophecy no faster than what the Most High wanted done. Everything will be done in a timely fashion.
Sign of de-escalation.
There are signs from Moscow that diplomacy should continue. This gives grounds for cautious optimism. But so far, we have not seen any sign of de-escalation on the ground. Russia has amassed a fighting force in and around Ukraine, unprecedented since the Cold War. Everything is now in place for a new attack. But Russia still has time to step back from the brink, stop preparing for war, and start working.
Mind you, this is NATO speaking. You understand? They're having to eat a little crow.
For a peaceful solution.
My first guest tonight says there is a solution to this crisis, and it involves a moratorium on NATO expansion. Thomas Graham was Senior Director for Russia on the National Security Council and Special Assistant to former President George W. Bush. He is now with the Council on Foreign Relations. Mr. Graham, it's good to have you on the program.
Good to be here.
You write that a moratorium on NATO's eastward expansion for 20 to 25 years could be the answer to ending the impasse that we are in right now. Why isn't that idea gaining any traction?
Well, I think it has become part of the public debate, certainly in Europe, but to some extent in the United States and even in Russia. I note that the German reporter asked a question at the press conference between the Chancellor and President Putin today as to whether a moratorium was a possibility. Now, neither man answered the question, but I think that's evidence that it is part of the public debate.
Today, the German Chancellor said that Ukraine's membership in NATO is not on the agenda, and he said it will not be on the agenda while he and Vladimir Putin are in office. Now, Scholz is speaking to what many diplomats say, that former Soviet republics, including Ukraine, are still years away from being ready for NATO membership. Am I reading that right?
Absolutely, and I think that almost any NATO official and any U.S. official would say the same thing. We're not talking about any near-term membership by any countries of the former Soviet space. And so I think that really is off the...
It's funny that they're coming out saying that now, when they could have been stated this weeks, months ago. You understand? I've been following this whole debacle between the U.S., NATO, and Russia. You understand? But now everything is being turned right side up as far as the United States and concerning their lives and that way they're going to steer and maneuver NATO into, you know what I'm saying, into bagging them. It's starting to turn upside down on them. So now they're having to come out and try to, clean it up a little bit. They could have been stated this. Oh, that ain't ever been the case. You know, with 2 or 3 decades from some former Soviet Union countries like Ukraine and whatnot joining NATO. 20, 30 years from now, Ukraine, NATO, none of that's going to exist. You understand? None of that's going to exist. The Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is not going to allow these pedophile demons, these knuckle-dragging cave maggots, these lawless people to continue running the world into the dirt. You understand? This not going to happen. This not going to go on much longer. It's about some 20 to 30. No, this not going to go on that. I highly doubt that. It's going to be 20, 30 years from now talking about these damn devils and their alliances and whatnot. You know. So, you know, but the point of the matter is that these crackers, these so-called white folks, Esau Edom, are getting caught up in their lies, and concerning the West in particular. All of them going to get put in the dirt, including Putin and the rest of them, you understand? But they're having to eat crow, you know, and come out and say these things which they could have said that, like I say, weeks, months ago, you know what I'm saying, when all this was starting to hit the forefront. But they never made mention of, they never addressed the fact that Ukraine was being goaded or being pressured into joining the NATO. Now they haven't addressed this, and now they're coming out saying things like, that's not on the table. That's not a factor. That's not something for 20, 30 years from now. You didn't say that 2, 3 weeks ago. You didn't say that 2 months ago. But all of a sudden you have to say this because the people that you're trying to coach and coming on board with you understand? Ukraine itself is making you look stupid on the world stage by saying that you are the antagonist. U.S., NATO. Now you're trying to come up here and clean it up, try to save face. Because countries like France and Germany, they really not even on board with you. Having a problem with Turkey, India, you know what I'm saying? We're not stupid. At least the Lord's servants are not stupid. Lord willing, we are those men, beginning with the apostle elders on down. We're not stupid. The Most High is going to reveal all things to his servants, the prophets. Amos 3:3. All the secrets. And that's these prophecies, these old undermined back deal table moves that you're making, Esau.
Any U.S. official would say the same thing. We're not talking about any near-term membership by any countries of the former Soviet space. And so I think that really is off the table for an extended period. And I do believe that some agreement on that and how long that period is going to be part of the final solution. The diplomatic question is how you're going to formulate that to the satisfaction of Moscow, Brussels, and Washington.
And guess what? And it turns out to be a big factor. See, they're coming out and explaining these things now because that's been the elephant in the room that the U.S. wouldn't address. While they was talking about imminent this and imminent that, it's all about them backdooring the Russians, their brothers, the brothers in race and nationality, being that they're of the same forefather, Esau Edom. You know, this is reminiscent of the times back when the damn Caesars were, when the Roman Republic turned into the Roman Empire. All those backroom deals and slidey and shady ass deals going on. Same people doing the same shit. Anyway,
All of this is assuming that NATO will exist in its current form in 20 to 50 years from now. I mean, that assumption, though, it comes with some pitfalls, doesn't it?
Well, certainly nobody knows what the future is going to be like. And that's one of the reasons why an agreement on a moratorium might eventually find approval from Moscow. Who knows what's going to happen in 2020?
Oh, yeah, we know what's going to happen in the future. You devils are going into slavery. That's what the fuck going to happen in the future. And Salakia for my emotional rant, you know, Salakia. You know, that was uncalled for. But yes, we know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. Y'all can sit there and play dumb. And you may not be playing dumb, you know. But guess what? The Most High Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai got a cake bake for y'all. Ain't going to be no future. Your future going to be slavery. Burying dead bodies and building up the kingdom of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and the co-inheritors, 144,000 and the 1/3 of the nation of Israel. And then the rest will come back. The rest of Israel, that is. That's what's going to be y'all future. Now, let me go real quick. They were making points. Moratorium. Let's see what that means real quick. Google me.
According to Edom Online, 1875, originally a legal term for authorization to a debtor to postpone due payment, from neuter of late Latin moratorius, tending to delay, from Latin morari, to delay, from mora, pause, delay, from pimor, to hinder, delay.
So they want to delay this, you understand? Now they're going into moratorium, into that talk about Ukraine. They want to put a moratorium on that and assure Moscow that that's going to be the case, you know, because you wind the clock from 89 to now, which has been what, 89 to now, what has been, 30 some odd years, 30 plus years, you know. Now you're trying to put an extension on it, a moratorium on another 25, 30 years, so you're talking about 50 years or so. Anyway, let's see, etymology online, meaning a moratorium. It says, originally a legal term authorized to a debtor to postpone due payment, from neuter of late Latin moratorius, tending to delay. So they tending to delay the bringing in of Ukraine. This is what they're talking about now. This is the diplomacy that they're talking about. You know, to delay, from moral, pause, delay, more, to hinder, delay. Let's go to real quick. Because they throwing these words around, you know, and we need to know what these words mean instead of guessing at what they actually mean. You know, it's a thing, you know, it's better to know than to guess. Let's see.
Moratorium.
Moratorium, a legally authorized period of delay in the performance of a legal obligation, or, no, that's not watching, a waiting period set by an authority. A waiting period, a suspension of activity. So they're trying to suspend the activity of bringing Ukraine, you know. And the Most High had a problem with real quick, that brings up a few precepts. Most High had a problem with borders. Most High had already set up borders. It already had all these things pre-planned. But see, this damn white man, he can't stay put. But it was prophesied. And when you go to, I believe it's Malachi 1, verses 1 through 4, the Most High made his habitation a wilderness for the dragon. So he was prophesied and forced out of where he was to go around the world and do what he do, because it was prophesied he was going to do this. You know, he's the hated son. So he's actually in order to what his purpose was, why he was brought to planet Earth. But let me get this real quick. This is Deuteronomy 32 and 8, and it reads, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. So everybody had their own land, this, that, and the third. But here we see right now today, they're talking about moratoriums and boundaries and things of that sort there. You understand? This is what we're seeing play out. Because, like I said, let's go back. Let's go real quick. Real quick, I think it's Malachi, yeah. To prove what I just said about him being pushed out and he's just acting out prophecy. This is Malachi 1, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I'm going to just read it verbatim. And we see the word Lord in all caps, so that's the Father. I have loved you, said the Lord, Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Said the Lord Yahweh. Yet I've loved Esau. Yet I've loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountain and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord had indignation forever. The Lord Yahweh. Now, it says right here, and I hated Esau, verse 3, and I hated Esau and laid his mountain and his heritage, his governments. Let's see. I'm going to leave that alone. Okay. His mountain and his heritage to waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So he was prophesied. He was forced up out of that. The Most High, right now, I think Mount Seir, I think they call it Petra, but it's Mount Seir in the scriptures. You can go there now and Google Mount Seir or Petra, and you'll see structures that resemble all the structures that the Esau, the so-called white man, has built throughout his time, spread across the planet. You understand? So he was prophesied to be scattered around the earth and go do these things. You understand? So that prophecy could come to fruition. But he don't respect boundaries. Just like we had. Now let's go to Deuteronomy real quick. 19. He don't respect boundaries. He does not respect boundaries. I'm gonna get just straight to the point, and I'm gonna close this out. And basically that's what we're seeing. This is and they were dealing with Israel at the time, but the Most High said that he's gonna put these same curses he put on Israel onto these so-called white folks. So we can put this in a flip coin and put it on, and he can wear this jacket now because he's right at the last second of his kingdom. So he's gonna have to wear that jacket of the curses, just like the Lord said. It says, verse 14, thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in thy inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land that the Lord Yahweh thy power giveth thee to possess it. And like it said in Deuteronomy 32 and 7, or 8 rather, the Most High had already set everyone the boundaries according to the inheritance of the he gave everyone their inheritance according to the lot, according to the number of the children of Israel. But this damn white boy, he gotta have everything. He can't go. He needs to have every little thing. When he come over here to the Americas, Gad and them was willing to share things with him, but no, he wanted it all. You understand? And want to relegate Gad to what they call those reservations. You understand? Modern day goddamn concentration camps. You understand? This is an example of this. This man can't have enough of nothing. And his insatiable appetite has caused war between him and his brothers. You understand? Him and his brethren, his own kind. Because these world wars, they ain't nothing but infighting for the most part, It ain't nothing but infighting. Anyway, let me move to the next one. Because we're dealing with boundaries, and this is one man, this is one people who do not respect boundaries. They think the whole world is there. And it is for an appointed time. For an appointed time. You can't go against the will of the Most High Yahweh Shem Shah. Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. And we know through Malachi 1:4 that the wicked is Esau Edom. So this is Deuteronomy chapter 27 and verse 17. And it reads, "Cursed be he that removeth his neighbor's landmark, and all the people shall say, Amen." See, the Most High gonna put this jacket on them. They finna wear this jacket. Them curses. So this is the last straw. You can't respect boundaries and whatnot. You made deals with your white brethren during the Cold War or Second World War, and then turn around. But the whole time you making deals, you got plans already planned out for the future. Give it enough time, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, 70 years down the road, you're gonna flip the script on them. You're gonna give it time for those who remember the deals. You're gonna give it time for them to die, and maybe their sons to die out. And therefore you can bring in and hatch your new plan once the ones who have agreed initially to the plan and their sons, because they probably told their sons about these plans. Once the fathers and the sons die, now you can move forward with your plan. This is how he do things. You notice every 50 years they release pregnant or redacted what they call it, classified information. But you have to go through the Library of Congress to retrieve this stuff. You see what I'm saying? That'd be a generation and a half or 2 generations be done passed. And okay, we can come clean with this stuff because a whole new sect of people done come along, and we've had time to indoctrinate them to believe what we don't want them to believe, and the ones who could stand up and stand up to those lies that we perpetrate, they're dead and gone for the most part. You see what I'm saying? This is how this man operates. But all that's catching up with him. That's all I'm saying. All that is catching up with him. Real quick, let's pull 2 more. Let's get up out of here. Proverbs 25. Straight to the point. We're just going to hit straight to the point. Because this is a man who doesn't respect borders. The earth is his, he say. This is Nino Brown. Remember that movie, Nino Brown? And this is also Tony Montana. The world is yours. Talking about Proverbs 25 and 17, and it reads, "Withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house, lest he be weary of thee, and so hate thee." So, you think these other nations ain't got hate for the United States of America and her allies? You think Japan ain't got hate for the United States and her allies, even though Japan might be on board with the United States? You dig what I'm saying? Right about now. You dig? But they ain't forgot about what you did to them back in the Second World War, some 70, 80 years ago. They ain't forgot that. They still pumping out radiated radioactive children right now today. Quiet as kept. Yeah. All over there in they lands and whatnot. The Last Samurai. What his name? Tom Cruise. The Last Samurai. Why it had to be a so-called white man, huh? Hey man, y'all done trespassed on everybody's land. You think these folks don't like y'all? Your money done got funny. You know what I'm talking about? Your stock market done crashed 100 times since 2000s. Everybody's withdrawing. They making a bank run on the U.S. getting their gold and silver by this place, and all you left is fiat currency, which you pumping out like a damn, like a pig. You know how a pig just have babies like a rabbit. It has no value, and yet still you think you still got friends. The only friends you got is 2/3 of the nation of Israel because you still allowing them to get that funny money and make videos and clown one another. You understand what I'm saying? You got a deep enchantment on Jake. That's all that is. You know. And Lord willing, when the time comes, the Lord gonna put the spirit on 2/3 to change on you. I mean, to change up on your ass. So, you know, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. Lamentations 4:24. Because you at your wits' end. I'm gonna close out with this one right here. This is Acts 17. Acts 17:26. Like I said, I'm just gonna hit right to the point, you know. Lord willing, this has been edified. I'm gonna close out. They won't just be too long. Just want to touch back bases and remind you of the lies. We keep track record on what this clown is doing. Okay, this is Acts 17:26, and it reads, it says, and had made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and had determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitations. You know what I'm talking about? Neither things, anything seeing, you have given in all life, and breathed all things. Now you know what? Let me start at verse 24, real quick. Let me clean that up. Let me go up real quick, and we're gonna put in some context. This is Acts 17:24, and it reads, God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that He is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands. You know what I'm talking about? And that's a straight cut on these religious institutions. You understand? Neither is worshipped with man's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breathe and breath and all things. Verse 26, and had made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and had determined the times before appointed. Listen to this, and had determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitations. You know, so the Most High had already had things worked out already, including this devil going around doing the things he's doing. It's the purpose and the will of the Lord. So, you know, they may be trying to avert war right at this very moment, because, truth be told, that's other prophecies that have to come to the forefront, and we may just be in the beginning stages of full-fledged anarchy. You know, the collapse of government. You can just about see it if the Lord has given you that spiritual fortitude to see it. Lord willing, we are of that ilk. Start with the apostle elders on down. But these things must happen first, and then the Lord, with His purpose of the third war, will come. Not because Putin don't want it, not because NATO and this and that and the third. It's got nothing to do with them. The Lord controls all things. Lord willing, it was edified, and I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. Shalom.